This is the first of a two-part episode where I speak with Greg Scasny, the CTO of Blueshift Cyber. Blueshift Cyber is a managed security operations center company, which basically means they sit and watch your network around the clock and monitor it for cyber attacks. Greg had so many incredibly important things to say about business cybersecurity that there was simply no way I could put it all into one episode. Today, Greg is going to review two critical topics related to cybersecurity: network diagrams and dwell time. He'll also touch on a common mistake that most business owners who have hired IT vendors are making. If you have any interest in learning how to keep your business better protected from cyber criminals, then stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. This is the podcast for hardworking IT people who love technology, cybersecurity, and access to the coolest new tech tools. Welcome to Legends of IT. Before we talk about network diagrams, Greg has a story to share that sets the stage for why having a network diagram is so darn important.
I had a very large medical facility. So this is probably a 15,000 endpoint, 30 location plus facility. They were interested in our platform. We said, okay, we're pretty good on security. So, we got a guy, we got a good IT staff. I just want that. I want to be able to sleep good at night. So, great. That's perfect for us, man. We can help you do that. So we put our platform in. Literally within 20 minutes, we start seeing some oddities. Now we have different things that look for different things, different algorithms that look for different type of things. One of them is a beacon detector, right? So I didn't come up with this idea. It's mathematics. We use things called fast Fourier transforms. So I'm an electrical engineer, by the way. To look for beacons. So it's a way to take signal from noise. It's looking for a repeating signal based on some parameters and some jitter. But long story short, it takes some time to get that data. So after about 2 days, this thing starts going off. It's like, okay, wait a minute. This is odd. They supposedly have great antivirus and all this stuff. So we started doing our investigation. And so we asked them, hey, can we put in more sensors? We need more information. We're seeing something that potentially could be really bad. It looked like they were on the verge of a ransom incident, but we weren't sure yet. So they said yes. So we put more sensors on it. Sure enough, we started finding machines that had Emotet on them. So this was a while ago. So what used to happen, the Emotet Ryu type infection chain was someone would get infected. They would download this document. It would then download TrickBot. TrickBot would then download Emotet, and then Emotet would be used to keep persistence and then download the ransom event. So we noticed about 10 machines at first. Actually, no, I take that back. We noticed one machine, and then from that machine, we were able to take different telemetry that it was doing and run a filter, and then we found 10 more machines. And in the end, we found 35 machines that were all infected with Emotet. That they had no idea. They were literally a week away from a successful ransomware event. They had already tried and got into Active Directory. They didn't have elevated privileges yet, but they were working on that. They had no idea. So what happened? So how did that happen? So they said, hey, they have an antivirus. I won't say which one it is. We have it managed. We know everything it's on. So every single machine we found was something that just got missed. It was like, hey, it missed its updates and we didn't see that, or we forgot to install it, so it wasn't reporting it. So we just didn't know it was there. Again, they didn't have the knowledge of all the things that are supposed to be on their network. So these machines that were unmanaged and didn't have some kind of antivirus protection were just out there in the wild. And they're moving them from place to place. So they would take this, it was mostly laptops, take them over this place. Now they go to this other network and plug it in, and guess what they're doing? They're just propagating that shit everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. So what we were able to do is go, okay, great. So now we got this. We can block the communication off. You can get those machines off. They got them cleaned up, but now we have to wait, right? Because now they've had this active infection. We need to keep monitoring this over some period of time. Now they ended up buying the solution, which is good. And thank God they did, because literally we kept detecting new infections for the next 4.5, 5 weeks. So these were ones that, because realize that not all of these things, once they're kind of phoning home, they kind of do their things, but sometimes they'll lay dormant for a very long time before they start communicating out and showing those indicators. But we were able to catch them right away, get them off the network, and then away you go. So, that's one of those things. Like, again, they were so close to having a really bad day, but by having the right, monitoring instrumentation, in there, they were able to thwart that. It was very lucky on their part.
A very bad day. That's what Greg and his team prevented for this 15,000 endpoint, 30 location medical practice. Now imagine for a second if this medical practice did not have a network diagram showing Greg and his team where all of their assets were. Would that bad day still have been prevented? Having a network diagram is one of the most important aspects of preventing a full-blown ransomware attack. Here's why. So listen, I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. I know we had some interesting back and forth a couple of months ago, and I think you said something about how you were impressed that I knew every device in my network.
Yeah, it's
and what it
very
was my
rare
IP.
that we come across somebody who, when I ask them a specific about an IP address, or what does this device do? They go, oh, that doesn't happen. It's usually like, well, I think Jimmy installed that a year ago, and I'm gonna have to go call him because he doesn't work here anymore, and so I got to go figure out what that thing is. I don't know what it is. So it's very impressive to work with people who know their environment as well as you do, which is nice.
Well, thank you. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. I don't know if that's a good thing for me. It probably just means that I spent way too much time with it and should have delegated a whole lot more of it.
Well, that's true, but you have to have some level of understanding. Like I can tell you, I can't tell you how many times. Part of what we do is we have to ask for things like a network diagram. Can you please provide us with a network diagram so we can put the proper instrumentation on your network? And they go, I haven't updated my network diagram in 7 years, and we've added 200 employees in 6 locations. So, how does that work? How you need to? Those are just kind of the base level things that people need to have. But it's, I get it. People are busy. It happens. But it's nice when you work with people who have at least some level of organization, understand their environment, because it makes everything just that much easier from our perspective. So,
yeah. Easier to know where everything is. So
yeah,
that's a great topic, is the network diagram, or let's call data flow diagram, another way that it gets referred to a lot in the compliance world. Why should an enterprise organization or even a small business organization have a network diagram and a data flow diagram? Like why is that necessary for cybersecurity?
Well, so yeah, and I can talk to it from a use perspective. Obviously, I can't go there, but because I'm not an IT guy, and I what you guys do, what IT people do, I have a lot of respect for. I'm just a security guy, right? But when it comes to the time when you have an incident, right? So now something bad has happened, whatever that badness may be, and you need to do an investigation. So you're going to end up either doing that investigation yourself or calling someone. Usually, you're going to end up calling someone who needs to come in and quickly, because they're expensive, do some kind of forensics and to get to understand where that root cause of that incident is. If you don't have accurate diagrams, now you're going to spend a lot of time, and time is money, trying to figure out, okay, what's on this subnet? What are these devices on that subnet? Why are they talking to these servers over here? What do these servers do? What if you don't have that documented, if you can hand that investigator at least quasi-accurate diagram, like 80% is good. Like I'd be happy with 80%. That this is relatively accurate. That just reduces the time, and time is key, right? When you're responding to an incident, that time that you spend responding to that is key. So the less time you can waste on doing that minutia, that initial trying to discover and figure out what things are, if you can hand it over in a diagram, that just makes that investigator's job that much more efficient, saves you money, and can lead to the remediation of that incident much quicker. The more information, the more up-to-date information you can keep about your environment, the better it's going to be when things aren't so nice, right? So there's no better time than to do that network documentation than today. Yesterday was a better day, but today is a good day too. And people should be doing that and trying to keep that as up-to-date as possible. It's impossible. I get it, man. I mean, even for our organization, we're a security company. We have network diagrams. Are they 100% up to date? Absolutely not. No one's going to be able to. Yours are probably 100% up to date, so I'm going to exclude you from that. But again, if something were to happen, I'm very, very confident that we can investigate and get to where we need to be quickly with the information we have.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think about the attorney that gets called in for a legal issue and has to do weeks of discovery at $700 an hour. And if you had all of that information indexed and organized, the amount of time, the amount of hourly billing to your legal team would be significantly decreased. And I think it's a good analogy for people to to kind of think about when they're thinking about network documentation and diagrams. They can save themselves a lot of money in the event of one of these scenarios if they just have that stuff done ahead of time. Okay, network diagrams. Have you updated yours? If not, you better get on it. Having that could save you tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in the event of a breach. Heck, it could potentially save you millions if it cuts down on the amount of time it takes to track down and stop the threat. And that brings me to the next topic of dwell time. Dwell time is this dirty metric that most people don't want to talk about because it's a reflection of how much time you were unaware that a cybercriminal had access to your network and data. But instead of looking at dwell time with shame and embarrassment, we can choose to see it as an opportunity.
One of the things that we talk about what we do, and I don't want to, it's not meant to be a sales pitch, but is looking at what's called dwell time. So dwell time is the time of between initial compromise. So initial compromise happens, and then the detection of that compromise. And that detection of that compromise is usually done in two ways for most people. It's either a call from a law enforcement agency like the FBI saying, yeah, your stuff's for sale on the dark web, or your stuff's being used to host illicit content, or your stuff is being used to attack some government facility, and now we really want to talk to you. Or the latter is there's a ransom note on your screen, right? So you detected it that way. But that time, and this is not my number, IBM's numbers, 287 days on average. It's a very long time. But what people don't realize is that's because of what has to happen. That initial compromise happens again. So the initial compromise happens. That may take anywhere from a day. Usually it happens very, very fast. But it happens, and then they lay low. And then they're going to come back and check and say, okay, yep, I have persistent access into here. I may compromise a couple other machines to keep, in case they detect one, I have this access into another machine or whatever the case may be. And they just keep doing that over and over. All their job is to keep that persistent access. And then they'll go on the dark web and offer those for sale because they know that I don't want to go any further, right? That's it. That's limited to my skills. I can make good money doing that. That's what I'm going to do. Other threat actors will then buy those lists. And then they're going to go in and use that access and determine what type of company it is, right? So they're going to go see, well, is this a small mom and pop? Is this, a pipeline? Is this, a meatpacking plant? Is this whatever the case may be? And then determine from there if they want to continue with that attack. So then they will get, again, when I say these guys are system admin level guys, these are very smart system admin level Active Directory type experts who understand how to pivot and do all the naughty things you can do with Active Directory, which is a lot. And so they will gain this kind of overarching access into the system and say, okay, I'm ready. Now I have a choice. They're not running their own ransomware, right? These groups they're going to go out buy ransomware as a service. I'm sure people have heard of that. So the groups like Ryuk, in those sorts of things, they will sell their ransomware as a service to groups like that. So they go, I'm going to go buy ransomware as a service. I'm going to give them 10% or 20% of my profits or my take, and then I'm just going to use their binaries and their support and all their other stuff and push out their ransomware. Once they have the level of access, really, it's very, very easy. If you have domain admin and you're on a few domain controllers, I mean, again, I'm not an Active Directory guy at all, but I can absolutely, if you give me DA on a domain control, I can push out software to anything else on your network I want to. And they're just pushing ransomware binaries. They push them all out at once. It happens very, very fast, but that ransomware event is very, very quick. And then they step back and they just wait to collect their money. That's it. And so the ransomware as a service guys are going to take care of all that. They're going to take care of any of the calls they have to have, whatever the Bitcoin wallets, all that kind of stuff. They just wait for their Bitcoin wallet to get their money in there. But that's why it takes that long, because that's usually how these things happen. It's not just one threat actor. There's multiple threat actors along the way, all trying to get their little piece of the pie.
So this is fascinating, really fascinating to me, and it brings up a couple of points. One is that this is a systematized business that these guys are operating that is not unlike the businesses they're attacking. Like, this is not just some kid eating pizza in his basement. Like, there's real business processes and systems in place to execute successfully on these types of cyber attacks.
Yes, and they're ran like a business. Have you ever called the support line for a ransomware
I have not.
I have. So, and I really wish whoever trained these guys would come train some of my customer support reps. They speak perfect English. They're very empathetic. Sorry this happened. You're going to pay the money. Don't get me wrong. We're not going to let you off the hook and not let you pay money. But they're very, here's how you can do it. You don't know how to buy Bitcoin. Here's how you buy Bitcoin. You need a Bitcoin wallet. Here's how you get a wallet. They will walk you through step by step, perfect English, very polite all the time, but you'll pay. You're going to pay. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, they have it down to a science. It is a business. It's a criminal enterprise. They make a ton of money doing it. It's one of those things that is very high risk, very low risk, very high reward.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the second point I wanted to make is that with that kind of dwell time, which is that's more than 6 months, there is so many opportunities for a small business to thwart that attack, to detect it, to lock it down, to prevent that ransomware from actually happening. If they had some systems, processes, and tools in place, which don't even cost that much money, they could have stopped so many of those things from happening. And I think, like you said, the bad guys would probably just move on because it's too difficult of a target.
Well, that's just it. So, and I agree with you 100%, by the way. There's that dwell time is there's two factors that are happening right now. So that dwell time is just a function of what happens. Now, like I said, the bad guys are smart too. They do realize that, and they're trying to speed up their attacks, right? They're using things like automation. I hate to say the word AI because it's machine learning, but they're using, machine learning algorithms to help, automate that attack process to make it faster. But the problem they have with that is the faster you go, regardless of what technology you use, the faster you go, the louder you are. Just this way it is. So that loudness is detectable. But there are so many opportunities along that attack chain during that dwell time that give you the opportunity to detect something odd and stop it. And that's one of the things, like when we started talking about what to talk about with some of these stories, is that what's really important to people to realize that, again, I will never tell someone, hey, pull out your preventative technologies or your EDRs, your firewalls, your antivirus. These things are all needed, but that's not enough. And the reason it's not enough is if every I just had this conversation with a high-level gentleman at a very large company here right before your thing. He says, you can prevent cyber attacks. You cannot. There's nothing you can do to prevent it. If you could, we wouldn't be talking today. We wouldn't be having this conversation. You wouldn't see it on the news every day. All those things that you read about, every ransomware attack, every successful cyber intrusion has bypassed, without fail, all those preventative technologies. So if you have those preventative technologies and a detection and response platform where you can detect things and respond to those early, you take things that would end up in a very bad day. Ransomware, for example, if you can detect that first level dropper, because they're never just dropping ransomware, right? It's not how it works, right? So the attack chain right now is usually you're going to get some kind of loaded document, you're going to enable it, it's going to download PowerShell, it's going to download some first stage, then they're going to download some other more capable piece of malware like Emotet or Dridex or something like that. Then they're going to use that to then get persistence and then finally do the ransomware, right? So lots of things that happen right there. If you catch it at that first stage downloader, right? What you just took something that was going to end up in a very bad day, maybe cost millions of dollars, and now it's a minor inconvenience. Oh, I got to clean that off that machine. No big deal. Right? It takes 10 minutes or 20 minutes. It's not a what I call an RGE. So if you have a successful ransomware event, this is not mine. I stole this from somebody. For most IT people, if you have a ransomware event, we call it a resume generating event, RGE, right? So you're gonna be looking for a job. So we don't want to get there, right? So if you can do those things early on enough, then it just makes it a minor inconvenience, and that's what it should be. But you have to have the right instrumentation. You're looking at the right logs, looking at the right things, and to be able to detect that stuff.
Well, resume generating event less the last position you held.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. However you want to do your resume is fine, but you're going to be looking for a job.
So, according to a 2020 study, more than 75% of the global IT services market comes from IT outsourcing. Going back to the days before IT vendors were a thing, IT jobs were mostly found in the enterprise. But as internet speeds improved and allowed for remote management of IT infrastructure, MSPs emerged and began providing technology services to both the enterprise and SMB markets. Now, this is something I talk about a lot, and honestly, I do believe that it's mostly the fault of IT people for having created this misconception among the SMBs they service. I also believe that this misconception is one of the reasons that we're struggling to get our clients to properly budget for the necessary cybersecurity and regulatory compliance requirements their businesses have. I want to share a stat with you, and I want to get your take on this and tell me in your position what you're seeing and if you agree with it. But in 2021, businesses with fewer than 500 employees were hit with 70% of the cyber attacks. So this was just last year. Do you feel like that's consistent with the things you've been seeing in all of the different environments that you touch?
Absolutely. It's it's actually the reason that we're in business, to be brutally honest about it. Majority of cyber attacks are done against small and medium-sized companies, and it hasn't always been the case, right? The larger corporations usually, had, more secrets and things like that. Now with the advent of, all the ransomware problems, and there's more problems than just ransomware. It's just, everybody knows what that is and talks about it. But the reason they can go after small and medium-sized companies is they know they don't have the budget, or think they don't have the budget, to have the right security telemetry and to monitor for those sorts of things. They don't have the defenses in place. Most of the time, let's just be honest about how they treat MSPs, right? So again, I have nothing but love for MSPs, right? You guys do a job that I don't want to do. But what do your customers usually expect from you? They want you to know everything. They want you to do it for free. They want you to make sure that you're answering calls and fixing printers and doing all those ticket items you're supposed to do. They want to make sure you're patching things like you're supposed to. And they want to make sure that you have their network covered 100% for cybersecurity. Something's got to give, right? It's not... you can't do all those things. Now, attackers know this. I'm a big Stranger Things guy. I love that show. The bad guys are smart too. The bad guys are smart too. We're not dealing with, the meme hacker of a fat kid in his basement eating a piece of pizza. Now, should he still be in your threat model? Yeah, if you have poor enough security, sure. But that's not who we're dealing with. We're dealing with very sophisticated cyber criminal groups who have a lot of talent, right? They have good tradecraft. They know how to get in these places. They know small and medium-sized companies do not have the budget to do it. They don't have the staff to do it. No one's watching. It's much, much easier to go in. I use this in my examples all the time. And again, I'm always praising IT people because they're all underpaid and overutilized, in my opinion. But, because it's true. But it's very, very different. It's very different disciplines. I can't do, I understand, if you told me, hey, I need you to set up an Active Directory server, I wouldn't know where to even start. If you said, hey, can you break into and wreak havoc with this? Yeah, absolutely, I can do that. That's prior to doing Blueshift, I did mostly red team stuff. So yeah, I can do that. But it's different disciplines, right? So it's the different disciplines that people really need to understand, that your focus as an IT, maybe IT vendor or IT employee, your focus is to keep the business running, to utilize technology to make the business profitable, right? That's really kind of what your job is. That's not my job. My job is to make sure you don't get broken into. Now, we're not the no guys either, right? So security has a very bad rap of people saying that, security guys are the no guy. You can't do this. No, you can't. That's not, you can't have that mindset either. That used to be the mindset of security guys. Like, you just can't have anything new, and no, we're done, and you're not doing anything. No. That's not productive to business growth either. So security guys needed to get on the train of, hey, listen, we got to embrace cloud. We got to embrace working from home. We got to embrace all this new technology because it's coming, and businesses are going to use it. But from the IT perspective, they have to understand that, hey, listen, you're not security guys, right? You need to make sure the business is running and work hand in hand with the security guys, so that way the business is secure and it's profitable, and using that technology to be profitable. But we have to get to that, everybody has to give a little, right? And I'm a big fan of, it's never, people should come to you. I will tell you, if you do something that's a really stupid and bad idea, if you really want to do it, go right ahead. I'm going to tell you it's stupid and bad, but we're never that kind of default no thing. Okay, if you need to do something, let's figure out a way you can do that and do that securely. There are ways out there. You just have to be, creative. You have to think outside the box a little bit,
Well, and I think that's a big problem with a lot of businesses today, is they are unwilling to take the time and spend the money, because let's be honest, it's not free, and you can't just expect that your MSP is out there putting loads of compensating controls in place for everything around your IT infrastructure. And I want to go back to the point that you said, that you think once you have an MSP, they do absolutely everything for you. And this is there's a compliance aspect here, there is an IT infrastructure aspect, and there is a cybersecurity aspect, and they are not the same things. These are all different aspects of technology. And you have to have all three. I think you absolutely have to have all three, but you have to understand that you may not have the right person to do the compliance work. You may not have the right person to do the cybersecurity work. Just because they are an IT vendor does not necessarily make them an expert in those areas. They want you to know everything. They want you to do it for free, and they want to make sure you have their network covered 100% for cybersecurity. Something has to give, and attackers know this. Think about that statement that Greg made for a minute. That's a lot to ask of a single person or role within your business. Would you ask your CFO to handle all of your bookkeeping, all of your financial planning, your investments, your tax planning, your legal advice? No, you probably wouldn't do that. But that's what's happening with MSPs right now. And business owners don't understand that most of the MSPs catering to them do not have the requisite cybersecurity skill sets and experience to truly protect them. The MSP or IT vendor industry began selling cybersecurity as a way to generate additional revenue and increase the margins of what was a very low margin business. Essentially, IT people traded hours for dollars, and it wasn't a sustainable business model. But that doesn't mean that an MSP is supposed to be everything when it comes to IT. We have a responsibility to educate the businesses we cater to about the differences between technology support, cybersecurity, and compliance, and help them to understand how to properly hire and budget for each of these areas. Doing this is going to be critical to mitigating their risks from breaches of confidentiality, integrity, and maintaining maximum availability. I want to thank my guest today, Greg Scasny, CTO of Blueshift Cyber. Stay tuned for part 2 of this episode, launching on Wednesday, November 23rd. Also, a great big thank you to our listeners and viewers for tuning into our show today. We sincerely appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Legends of IT wherever you consume podcasts. This way, you'll be notified as new episodes become available. Until next time, on Legends of IT.